Welcome. Great to have you here. This is a unique moment, a moment that unites all of us. We all face anxiety and loss. We all see broken systems. We all experience the impact of the climate crisis. This is a unique moment. This is a turning point if we choose to make it one. This is a moment to reflect, to learn, to share, and to co-create. Welcome.
And I invite you.
Great to have you here.
I invite you to contribute.
This is a unique moment. A moment that unites all of us. We all face a partner to fix broken systems. I ask you to join the movement so everyone can step into their change-making power. I ask you to nominate the next generation of changemakers. And I ask you to share your wisdom, your knowledge, your expertise. And I ask you to donate to support changemakers. This is our moment to fix the world. This is our moment to contribute. Today is the day, and you are the one.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this first panel of the Ashoka Changemaker Summits. My name is Katerina, and I have the pleasure to be part of the Children and Youth team at Ashoka, working particularly in Belgium. And today, I'll be your facilitator for this session. We are thrilled to have you join the Ashoka Changemaker Summits on rediscovering certainty, as we are experiencing now a historical moment of transformation and a time of unprecedented change. It is for us even more important than ever before to gather this powerful and inspiring community of social entrepreneurs, impact professionals, philanthropists, change leaders in education, engaged citizens, and young change makers to embark together on a journey towards certainty, driven by solutions to the most pressing social issues of our time. So thank you for being here. As a young person myself, I couldn't be happier to be opening the youth-led change track of the ACMS and to be spending the next hour with all of you to explore how youth is redefining success and playing a major role in this quest for new certainty. Young people are the protagonists and owners of the future. They are not only the leaders of tomorrow, they are the change makers of today. And during these past months, young people have shown the world a new idea of success, not based on performances or results, but on empathy, on a positive approach to collaboration, and a creative attitude to change, navigating complexity and uncertainty even better than adults, and making change even from home. To discuss this fascinating topic, I'll be joined by outstanding speakers of different ages and backgrounds. They'll be speaking from the heart in an open dialogue where we want to spark new content and questions for us to reflect on. You'll get to know them in one moment. But first, we'd like to hear from you. What does it mean to you to have success when growing up? Please open the link in the chat and use the code that my colleague Luca has just shared with you to access Mentimeter and write one word that defines your idea of success. Afterwards, we'll be having a round of opinions of the speakers on the words that you have shared, followed by a roundtable of questions from speakers to the others, to each other. And then we'll be taking one question from the audience for a second roundtable of discussion. So please be active in the chats and write your questions to the speakers. While you open the Mentimeter app, let me welcome our speakers. First, we have Mike Sani, an Ashoka Fellow from the UK, current CEO of Playverto and co-founder of Bite the Ballot, through which he has developed a unique methodology to stimulate active citizenship among young and marginalized communities in different countries. Secondly, Guzman Fernandez is our 21 years old young changemaker from Spain, who is currently studying design and communications in Madrid with the aim of learning to communicate his own ideas and those of others. He's the founder of Opinion 20, a youth opinion communication medium, and collaborates with organizations such as TEDx Youth. Additionally, Emer Beamer is a Dutch Ashoka Fellow, a co-founder of Designathon Works, through which he empowers thousands of children to design a better world by offering them a space where they can learn to design, to prototype, and present their creative ideas to solve the world's most pressing issues. With her, we have Breno, who is a Dutch and Brazilian 12 years old boy, passionate about technologies and the environment. As a participant to Global Children's Designathon workshop in 2018, he came up with amazingly creative solutions to tackle deforestation and promote local food production. He designed a small rolling robot assisted by artificial intelligence to plant tree seeds and a network of small farms built on top of tall buildings in Amsterdam. Quite impressive for such a young age, you would say. So Breno, we would love to hear a bit more from you. As a young person, as a child who created with such impactful solutions, what role do you think young people have to play in today's society in solving these pressing issues?
Well, I think that kids and young people should present ideas to solve them while getting help and support from the adults. That is how I think about the role of young people in this. It's really important because lots of adults get these ideas that could solve the problems but think that they weren't good enough. Kids and young people, on the other hand, they could think if it could really work. And that's why I think that children play a really big role in this problem.
Thank you, Breno. So can you tell us a bit more about how you see this collaboration between the adults and the kids?
Well, it's pretty simple. Like when young people get a good idea, the adults could help getting the idea to come true. And if it could solve it, uh, they could really help solving these problems. But they can't do it alone. They need the help of the adults. So I see young people as a role that presents an idea and tries to get help making it reality.
Fantastic. Thank you, Breno. Thank you so much for sharing and for telling the adults how to work with you with us as young people, having these good ideas. Now, Luca will be sharing the responses that we got from the Mentimeter app, so that we can all have a look at them and invite our speakers to comment on their own idea, and linking it to what you as the audience has been sharing with us. Please, Guzman, would you like to speak first?
Yeah, that would be cool. I love to see all these things about success. I love to read about mental health, something great about it, and empathy. I really like it, because when Katarina told me to come to the panel and speak about success, I'm just like, I'm not comfortable with the meaning of success that we currently live almost here in Spain. It's like, I don't think I like the meaning of success as a going to the school and then be the best in the school, in the college, and then get the best job to win the most money that you can. I don't feel comfortable with that meaning. As from my point of view, I think success means try to change things that is not working, and trying to generate communities like good communities and good feelings, and I think I'm pretty happy because the people who are looking to us, they are like in the same way as me, and that's cool.
Indeed, we see happiness, we see empathy and empowerment,
Yeah.
impact, confidence, expanding potential, developments, creativity. And so that's very powerful words. Thank you, Guzman, for sharing. Mike, would you like to share some thoughts with us as well?
Sure, thank you. Good morning, everyone. It's beautiful to see so many different words appearing on the screen. Happiness. I think my word would be purpose. And I feel like when we discover a purpose in life, the journey becomes easier. When you're tired, you find the energy to continue. When you're disappointed, you find the courage to learn from it. And when you experience the highs, there's no greater feeling. But I was also drawn by the person that put the comment, knowing oneself, because I believe that it runs in parallel. We do the inner work to discover the things about us that we need to work on and perfect and love and hold, whilst we have a purpose to do the outer work to try and make the world a better place.
Thank you, Mike, for sharing. And I think that's very linked to also what Guzman was saying about inner happiness and taking care of your mental health before contributing to the world. Emer, would you like to go next with your own thoughts?
Sure, thanks. Good morning, everybody. Wonderful to be here. Yeah, I'm saying a lot of words that I can relate to. For me also, success is when I succeed at what I find important. And the thing that I've been passionate about my whole life is leaving the world a better place than the way I found it. And I was looking up definitions of success and a meaningful life. And the Dalai Lama has a similar definition. He says, if you can do good, that's the best thing. And if you can't, do no harm. And what speaks to me as well about this panel is that the intention of young people is to do good. A number of studies have shown us that. So when we can give them the kind of skills we're talking about here, potential, confidence, opportunity, legitimacy, then they'll be able to, reach fruition of that potential that they're born with.
Thank you so much, Emer, for your very inspiring words. Just wanted to ask Bruno as well, as our youngest speaker. I remember we were wondering if you even thought about what success meant. And when we discussed it, you had such a strong idea. Do you want to give a word about your thoughts? And you have to unmute yourself, Bruno.
Well, explaining what success means to me it would probably take up this full Zoom meeting, so I'll tell you what success would mean to me in this situation. With these problems, success would be not even already solving them, but making progress would be already more than enough to be success. To me, success is not exactly being victorious. To me, it would be more like to make progress to eventually be victorious.
Thank you, Bruno. That's very wise words, and I think we should learn from them, all of us. Now, I would like to introduce a surprise speaker, who is Mijntje. She's 11 years old and she's calling from Amsterdam. Unfortunately, she couldn't be here with us as she's taking a test in school, but she has a message for you as the audience and for us as the speakers as well. that she wants to share with us. Maintje participated in Designathon workshops, and she created really impressive solutions for solving the feeling of loneliness of old people and also tackling the climate crisis. Let's hear from her.
Hello, my name is Maintje and I am 11 years old and I'm living in Amsterdam. And I took part in a Corona challenge and I came up with something there, namely an open stage app where children can place videos of something that makes you on a stage, such as singing a song, playing a musical instrument, and for example a book to read. As long as it's something you do on a stage. The elderly can then watch it or play it in a nursing home. I came up with this so that the elderly feel less lonely. I would like to make the app and I'm now reading an instruction book on how to build an app. I also participated in the workshop Disposable Plastic. I come up with a marker with refill filling. The marker itself is not made of plastic, but made of clay. I come up with this because you usually empty a pens, you just throw it away. But what's around the marker, there's also plastic. And if you throw it away, it's also environmental pollution. Whether I am concerned about the environment and the climate? Yes, it is terrible what is going on in the world. It seems good if more people realize that. I think it's important that less plastic is used, for example, and that people take initiatives for the climate. I think it's important that adults listen to children more, because kids think differently from adults and usually have special ideas that adults won't come up with. Children also wonder a lot. I think that's one of the biggest reasons that children have their special ideas to save the world. And then, finally, the children are the future. I think things are going quite good, well, with the place of children in the world. They already have quite a lot to say, but I still think there's room for improvement.
Thank you to Maintje for sending us this very beautiful video. And if you were not impressed enough with her ideas and her creativity and willingness to share her opinions, you can also know that she taught English to herself. So she's speaking in a foreign language. Guzman, to start the first roundtable of discussion and questions between the speakers, I'd like to link it to Maintje's video and what she shared with us about her concerns about the environment and the climate and how it is linked to our idea of success as a new generation.
Yeah, thanks. I like the ideas that she shared, because I think she represents a generation of new concept of how to think about the future. I feel as my generation and the generation who is before of me, we have like a way to think about the future, that we need to change the things that they are not working right now. And I think it's important to understand that if you want to change things that is not working, you just need to start changing yourself. And I think that's important. You need to understand yourself. You need to understand what are your limits and what do you want to do in your life, because if you start changing things and you are not quite good in your head, that could be a problem. and I also like the idea that she brings about how we are creating the future, or how are we living right now. Like we are living just trying to create and create and create and consume, and don't think about the future. And I think it's important to stop and think, about us, to stop and think about the future and what we want as an adult and a young people.
Thank you, Guzman, for sharing. Would you perhaps have any questions to the speakers to go on with the discussion on your ideas?
Yeah,
as well.
I like the Breno idea about success, and success is not just victorious; it's also the path and improve. And I like that idea. I also think that to fail needs to understand as a success, because I don't know you, Breno, but I feel as a young boy that if I fail, I'm not good enough to do something. And I think that's bad, because fail is also means that you have tried. And that is important, because try is a first step. So I want you to ask Breno, how do you think about fail and success, and that idea that you had spoke about it?
Oh, I like it. Really like it.
Have you ever been confronted, Breno, that you were trying something and you felt that you were failing, but then what did you do when that happened? Did it ever happen to you?
Well, if it ever happened to me, you want an alphabetic or chronological list? Well, like sometimes I gave up, but other times I want to try again and again and again. And I didn't stop most of the times. And that to me is success. Not giving up, but continuing with the road to victory.
Thank you, Breno. I would love to hear from Mike as well on this idea of failure and learning from these mistakes, and what you've seen through your experiences with young people that you worked with.
Well, I think I agree with Guzman and Breno that we need to change the culture around failure, so that we can learn to appreciate it more. I didn't start to appreciate failure until I was a lot older, and I began to realize that some of the lessons I learned were only because I failed. And so maybe this conscious effort to change the culture around failure. And I believe even listening to our two youngest members of the panel means the culture's already changing amongst themselves. A new generation are looking at things differently. And for me, that, you know, the courage to keep trying is something very special. And without digressing too much from the conversation, I'm most curious about how we take the energy from young change makers that we have joining us on the panel today to ignite the passion in other young people that care but might not have the resources or mindset to get involved. I have a 15-year-old stepdaughter, and I asked her this morning, do you and your friends talk about climate more and more? Are you worried about it? And she says, yes, we talk about it. I said, in what sense? Do you want to change things? Do you want... And she didn't really have the words to tell me. So there are so many people that just have an untapped energy ready to be guided, which I believe is similar to what Breno started with. Like, how can we as adults create a pathway where young people can start their own expeditions, their own journeys, and when they fail, they can really appreciate the lessons learned. I've failed so many times, and I look back now and think that they were blessings. The one thing I never did was stop, and that's the difference. I never gave up. I failed and I changed things, and I think change is good. pursuing different ideas, trying different avenues. There's a difference between failing and not ever stopping.
Exactly, Mike. And from the audience, we see a question that is, success is not about failing. No, success is not failing. Success is keep failing until you succeed. And I would love to hear from Emer now on this idea, but also how you worked with very young children and guiding them to discover their untapped potential that Mike mentions.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, success and failure are really important topics. And what we see in our workshops is that children, because they're allowed often for the first time to really conceive their own idea and tackle complex problems, come up with ideas, they're really invested in the ideas because they believe in them and they've seen a future and they want to help create it. So there's both a high risk for frustration, because if you don't achieve it and you're very invested, then your feeling of frustration is high. And at the same time, there's a high motivation to persist because you believe in the vision that you yourself and your teammates have created. So the power of imagination applied to complex problems serves as the energy for the persistence through the failure. Because when you do start trying to make a prototype, the wires don't fit or the box falls off, or people doesn't understand what you're saying. So yeah, the imagination, applied imagination, and the persistence it gives you is the energy that helps you overcome failure.
Thank you, Emer. And would love, just for the audience watching us, would love to hear from you, your thoughts, your questions. So don't hesitate to write them in the chat, and Luca will be transferring them to us. In the meantime, on this idea of children having so much creativity and keep on going with these good ideas, I wanted to ask your thoughts about when does it stop? When do we stop having this creativity and this power of so many questions? And perhaps to Guzman, do you feel any pressure from adults that sometimes don't let you pursue your own idea of success?
Yeah, I like the points that Mike and Emer share with us, because I think they represent the adult that I would like to have in my life, because I feel that adults project a model of success on us, and I believe that we are the ones who have to discover it. Like every generation should have the power to discover what they feel as success. And almost here in Spain, I feel that like there is a lot of adults who are trying to share their ideas and not discovering your own ideas. And I feel like we need adults who works with us, like not in front of us, just with us, because we need them. As Bruno says, we need adults because we are young people and we don't know a lot of things about it, and we need also adults to trying to like to encourage our power and trying to fight that frustration that Emer speaks about it. I think it's a good point, and I want to ask Emer, like if I can, Katarina, yeah, okay, what we can do to like encourage people like childs and young people and trying to fight that frustration, because I feel that frustration alone without an adult, and what we can do as an adult and as young people.
Yeah, no, it's a really good question, because like Mike was saying earlier, I've also set up a number of social enterprises or NGOs, and there's been so much failure along the way. And then sometimes I've asked myself why I didn't give up, and where was the drive coming from? But to relate back to young people, I think the problem is kind of a baseline mindset that adult society doesn't see the potential of the children. So as we're speaking about it together here today and it's on display, it's obvious. And at the same time, there's this huge blind spot in society which doesn't see the potential of children and doesn't give it the opportunity to unfold, to grow, to practice overcoming failure. And those are the kind of experience all children should be given, in my opinion, to experience tackling problems, as somebody said in the chat. Design sprints, have a go at it, collaborate, use your creativity, see what you can come up with, discover it's okay to fail, and get a chance to sometimes succeed and the experience of overcoming failure. And it starts with a change in mindset. Adults, more adults, start giving children the chance to engage with big complex problems.
Thank you, Emer. Yeah, giving children the chance to engage with these problems and not seeing them, because they are children, as people that couldn't have these ideas. I was wondering from Mike a bit, that you've worked with engaging communities of young and marginalized people, and did you see their untapped potential that you mentioned at the beginning? How do you work with making them realize it and find it in themselves?
I think there's so many different ways to do that. Authenticity is something that is essential when working and co-creating with young people, for them to truly know and feel that you're doing it for the right reasons. And I think as a space, as a social space, NGOs, charities, we still have too many tokenistic initiatives, tokenistic projects that young people begin to see through, or they only really attract the same type of young person, the person who's adding to their CV, the person who does everything. And so authenticity, to really reach people where they are and have the courage to deal with the first reaction. Because when we reach excluded people, marginalized people, people on the peripheral of society, there's an anger, there's a frustration, as Guzman said, and we need to face that head on, and then slowly help the ice around them melt so that they can start to feel the courage to lead, to explore. But I also think that young people have an exceptional superpower, especially young people that are slightly socially excluded or marginalized, as we've said. They have something that I refer to as social capital. They can take those examples of the life that they've lived and they can connect with other young people. They can mobilize other young people in different communities, in different parts of society, based on a shared experience. And they can also, as we've seen from our speakers today, elevate themselves to the corridors of power and hold their own there. I find that most people from privilege can't come the other way down. They struggle to come and connect to people in society. We see it with politicians. They struggle to really connect with people. And so that for me is a special power that young people possess, the ability to connect, to see beyond their differences and to mobilize. And when they start to harness that more and more, the same ways we see them do it with trends on social media, on TikToks, on Instagram stories, they mobilize quickly around things that they believe are important to them, to their culture, to trends. And I think as adults, we can hopefully show the connection to how they can do that with pressing issues, with things that they would like to see change.
Thank you, Mike. And just as a follow-up question on this idea of adults need to be authentic with working with young people and to be able to connect with them, and how young people can have that power of connection maybe more easily or more naturally. What other knowledge and other skills do you think adults need to work with these young people and connect with them?
Well, I think as adults, the two things that I've seen a lot is we forget how to play as adults. I think it relates a little bit to the points you shared earlier. when you mentioned adults trying to reconnect with young people. We forget how to play, and what dismisses us to continue to have the courage to ask questions or to play is a lifetime of structures which don't create for it. The current school system around the world doesn't really connect to a philosophy of lifelong learning. It's short-term memory, test, move on. So to remember how to play, I think, is a wonderful tool for all of us, because we want to play. We want to have fun doing this. Serious work does not have to be serious. And the minute we make it too serious, we lose people. And the other thing I believe as adults, that we need the courage to admit when we're wrong, and have the ability to always see that we're learning continuously. The ability to unlearn something that we might have picked up in our past and to relearn based on the culture and philosophies of young people is a special tool for us to practice again and again and again.
Thank you, Mike. Would you by any chance, on this topic that you're talking about, how adults should have skills to work with young people, perhaps have any questions to our younger speakers, see how they see it? And I would also encourage the audience to engage with us and share your questions, your thoughts on this fascinating conversation.
Well, for both, maybe Guzman and Breno, when you connect with adults and you believe that they are wrong, do you have the courage to challenge that? And how do you challenge that?
Maybe from Breno first, yeah?
Well, actually, when I think an adult is wrong, I usually think it through to see if they really are wrong. And if that is the case, then I try to help them to find the right answer.
And how do you help them find that answer then?
Well, that depends. Like, it depends on what it is, because it's kind of hard to explain, actually. Basically.
We have a little...
Just like Mike just said, with pizza.
So I think keeping with the fun, right? To engage and with the jokes and keeping it simple and not always too serious. I think that's what we are having now in the panel. Thank you, Breno. Guzman, from you, any thoughts to share on?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I think we need to understand that young people don't have the answers. We don't have the answers to all the question and all the things that is going wrong. And I think we don't, we have ideas, but we are not the ones who have the great answer about it. But I think it's a good point about, like Mike says, that we have a different way to think about the problems or ideas, and that's cool, because we need to share it, but we don't have always the answer and the correct answer. That's the first point. The second point that I want to share is the first, young people needs to like open their minds and go and speak with adults, because they are similar to us. It's cool to go. It's cool to be with your friends and with your colleagues, but adults are cool as us, and we need to try to understand also them. And first, and my third point is that we need young people, we need adults, because without an adult we can't do a good change. We don't have the power and the structures to make a change, so we need the adults and we need to work with them. And I think that's like my three ideas about adult and young people.
Thank you, Guzman, for sharing. And yeah, I think these ideas of perhaps not having all the answers, but having a different way of looking at the problem is very interesting. And I would love to hear from Emer. Do you think, how can we encourage adults to listen to young people, even when they don't have the big answer or the big solution, but they have the ideas, and to learn from them, and to stop thinking that they know everything best because they are adults?
Yeah, no, it's definitely an unfortunate predisposition that adults have, that children don't know kind of anything until they, suddenly turn 18 and then are adult. And actually, there's some interesting research from the Lego Foundation, because there's this idea that children are more creative than adults, and that we kind of slowly lose it. And the insight was slightly more nuanced. It explains like creativity is both the divergent thinking, the coming up with new ideas, the flexibility, the imagination. And indeed, children are specifically good at that. They see numerous possibilities. And then the other side of the equation, to get to an idea that could maybe help solve climate change, or change our mobility systems in the city, or how we grow food, is assessing the possible solutions and relating them to available resources, and the more analytic side of things, where adults are more developed in. So I guess the basic call to action is, bring these things together. Have the adults listen to these amazing ideas. That's basically what Brenno said at the beginning. And then help the children to learn the analytical skills of evaluating possible solutions, so that we can together bring them to fruition. And I think panels like this are helping us, every step of the way, where the child gets the opportunity, gets listened to, we build on that collaboration.
Mm-hmm. And I remember from some conversations when preparing this panel with Brenno, that you mentioned that if adults don't believe that young people have the ideas or the power, well, the fact that you're in this panel is already proving them wrong, right? Brenno, you have to...
Yeah, that's right. Like anyone that says, "Oh, kids aren't smart enough to solve these problems," nah, 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 nah. Well, the fact that they're watching is already proving you wrong. Okay.
Thank you,
kids
Brenno.
really have the potential to solve these problems. And if you don't believe that, then stop watching.
Yeah. And Emer, just building on what you said, maybe on this idea of combining the more ideation skills, the creativity of young people, and the more analytical assessing skills that come maybe later. I would love to, do you have any questions to the audience or to the speakers themselves to build on your ideas?
Well, I would love to hear more ideas from others, from the panel or from our audience, on how can we convince adults basically that children have so much to offer. What other ideas are out there to help everybody see how much beauty and potential we have for free that we can just use. So yeah, what more can we do to help make that be seen?
Mike? Yes, sure.
I think things can be, experiences can help. As I know you do, Emer, consistently, but when we bring different stakeholders together to experience and appreciate one another, young people appreciate the wisdom of older people appreciate the wisdom of young people. And I think for those of us that are trying to drive cultural change, as Ashoka says, framework change, or even systems change, experiences for those that might have a certain way of thinking to help them uncover new ways is very powerful. And I look and take a great fondness from some of the work I'm doing now with Lego. They're 88 years old as an organization, one of the largest brands on the planet, and they are authentically moving to a space where they are connecting with children and young people, gathering their insights to real world issues, and then actively trying to say we're going to listen and do something, whether we shift our own internal strategies or we act as an organization that can earn a place at the table, at the UN, at Davos, at the climate conference, and speak on behalf of children, to harness that wisdom, to try and give it some gravitas. And these things take time. I've been working on this for 4 years, and only now we're beginning to start to uncover the real potential. So, you know, I feel like there is, we do have to be patient, as much as we may believe time is running out. As when I said, we can't just have perfection, we need to have progress, and progress can take time. But experiences for adults to really see and harness the shared resource of children and young people also makes our life easier, because then we can let go of a little bit of the pressure of trying to be the only ones to fix it.
Yeah, thank you, Mike. And any questions to the audience or to the speakers to follow up on your thoughts? This idea of appreciating each other's strengths and each other's knowledge and skills that are different, and how collaborations can spark from that.
I think I like the ideas that Mike and Imer brings to us, but I'm just wondering what about success and children's, because I'm not an expert about the topic, but what about success and children's, and also success at schools? What is going about that topic? Because I'm not an expert, and I want to know what is going about success and children's at the schools.
And maybe, Guzman, before we ask, how have you experienced it in your school, you know, and now at university, how it was seen from your personal experience?
Yeah, well, I feel like success is a controversial topic for me and my friends, because we suffer it in a way, because with all the social media and all those stuffs, we just like, you need to be success, you need to be famous, you need to be recognized with the adults' words, and I feel really bad about it, and when we was preparing this panel, I think it's an important idea to speak about mental health and success, because we need to, I think we need to speak about mental health and to understand ourselves and prepare to this world. And also when you are like a child and a young people, you need to be ready to the world and the adult world. And I think it's important to work yourself and your head, and also about success, because what you need to be, what you need to do, that's all the questions that you have to know how to answer.
Thank you, Guzman. And building on that and the pressure you have experienced, but maybe the audience was wondering, do you feel optimistic about the future, but also about the fact that if you're being actively listened to, both on your own idea of success, but just solving problems that you see in your community, but also in the world? How do you feel about that?
Well, I feel this is like an idea that we share, like our generation. I'm studying design, and always when our teachers bring us a problem that we need to solve, there is a lot of students who brings a lot of ideas. It's like part of our DNA. It's like young people needs to solve things, and I'm not pretty sure that worked in the past, but right now I feel this is like a way that we work. We always like trained to solve things. I don't know why, but we are always trained to solve things, and I feel this is like our DNA thing about these generations. So I feel good. Like I feel a cool future, but we need to work together, adults and young people, because we build the future together.
Yeah, so optimism in collaboration. And you, Breno, how do you feel? Do you feel optimistic when you think about your future, the world's future?
Well, I really do. I mean, yeah, things could go pretty wrong. But I feel optimistic because people like me, young people, are there to solve the troubles and solve the problems of the future. And that way, basically, save the future. That's how I feel about it.
And we have a very enthusiastic reaction from the other speakers. I think you can't see them, but about Breno and other young people being here as leaders to change the world and bring change. I would love now, as we are already about to end this conversation, to hear from each of you a message to the audience. What would you like them to keep in their minds when turning off their computers and continuing on their daily lives, but keeping your wise words? Emer, and perhaps you can first share about Guzman's question about what it is happening in schools on the idea of success. So you can build on the two ideas before your call to action.
What I wanted to relate back to what Guzman was saying is that there is research by the WISE Global Education Barometer, and they asked young people, like, what are your main concerns? And 85% said they're very concerned about poverty and about the climate. And then the question, and how prepared do you feel to tackle those problems? Only 50% said that they felt like they were prepared or had those. And that's different to the research that we've done, which is with a younger age group, with the 8 to 12-year-olds, same level of concern, but a 70% kind of conviction of ability to contribute. So my call to action is, what can we do in the education system to give young people the skills and opportunities so that they maintain their creativity, that they maintain their belief in their own power to contribute?
Thank you, Emer. Yeah, so a call to action to the people working in the education ecosystem that can be very broad.
Exactly. It's not just the school systems, it's municipalities, including children, it's local communities, it's families. It's all of us as adults inviting the children into all of our spaces to co-create with us.
Mike, do you want to share some strong words with the audience watching us?
You told me I wasn't allowed to swear. I think I really like Guzman's point around the link to mental health. And I think one thing we can all practice is vulnerability. If we really share what's going on for us, and we can connect to people more deeply, all of us, we can connect to children, we can connect to each other, then we strive towards this place of oneness. We start to see each other as one, and then we can get beyond these silly differences of culture, race, sexuality, demographics, and start to face some of the problems that really need to be dealt with. So I believe that, well, an opportunity for us, or an invitation to the audience, is to practice vulnerability, to show up as your whole self, even the parts about you that you wrap in shame and guilt. If we share that with our children, then we create a different type of young person and a different type of adult that doesn't hide things away and is really open towards the pressures that we all feel on a daily basis. So this idea that we can show up broken in a world where everything feels replaceable is a beautiful challenge.
Thank you, Mike. Practicing vulnerabilities takes a lot of courage. Yeah. Guzman, would you like to say some words, some final thoughts?
Yeah, I want to, I have like a lot of thoughts. First of all, to young people, like our audience, but our young audience, you need to hear you need to go and speak with adults. You need to work with adults. That's like one of my thoughts. Second of it, to the adults, please go and listen to the young people and work with them. And I think this is like so important to change things. We need you, adults, please come to us. And third, let's think about ourselves. Let's in this modern world, let's stop and think about ourselves. Let's try to, like Mike says, let's try to find what do we want to do and what do we like. And I think that's like so important. And also, sorry, my fourth idea is like, fail is okay. Like, we need to fail a lot, and we need to try a lot, because that's one of the most important things. It's cool to do things good, but it's also good to try and fail.
Thank you, Guzman. Thank you for sharing your 4 insightful ideas on young people talking to adults, but adults having to listen to them, on getting to know ourselves first and thinking about us, linked to Mike's quest to vulnerability. Yeah, that's very, and the idea that failure is okay. Breno, as the last words, do you like to share something with the people watching us?
Yeah, this is some advice to help solve the problems, and this is for everyone. When you see a problem, and you usually are like moaning about, oh, this problem is really bad, and then they usually think that you're already doing enough. But it would be good if you'd stop to think and ask yourself, can I do more? Because sometimes by saying that you're already doing enough, you will be lying to yourself.
Thank you, Breno. Thank you so much for all of us. Not only seeing the problems and what we are already doing, but the solutions possible and the possibilities to do more. I would like to thank all of you, Guzman, Emer, Mike, and Breno, for engaging with us, and also to our audience for your questions, your thoughts. And our call to action to you is to continue engaging with us through this Ashoka Changemaker Summits. Go to and watch the other sessions on youth-led change, as well as the other tracks, and keep in touch. I would love to see you again at the following session.